All right, hello, it's Wolfgang Krosky here with the Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce, and today we are continuing our conversations with the different candidates for the Pittsburgh School Board race, Pittsburgh City Council, and District 5 of the County Supervisor race. We are doing a actual face-to-face live interview here, and we have with us Gus Kramer, who is he's the county assessor, and he is making a bid for the District 5 supervisor position. This video, along with all the other videos, you can view at www.pittsburgh.vote. There you can view the videos, you can submit questions for our formal candidates forum, and you can view other information about all of the candidates for these three different races. So with that, Gus, turn it over to you to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, thank you very much for having me. This
Yes.
is great to be here with you folks, and thank you for listening. My name is Gus Kramer. I've been the county assessor for a better part of 25 years. And before that, I worked for the sheriff's office, and before that, and I worked in the public works department. And so I've had an interesting background with the county. And I would love to serve the people of this district as their county supervisor, mostly because we haven't got much out of our present supervisor. He's not one to bring a lot to the table. He usually reacts to other people's agendas at the board, but not one to initiate game changers for the county or for the district. I have background in, like I said, 4 different departments. I understand what goes on in the sheriff's department. I understand planning. I was the planning commissioner for the city of Martinez for 9 years. I worked in the public works department doing redevelopment and development for the county.
Right.
And so nothing escapes me when it comes to projects and infrastructure and those financial needs to pay for that infrastructure.
Right.
So I think I have a lot more to offer than the present incumbent. I've demonstrated my willingness to be there for the people and not for government. During the recession, I was lowered over 190,000 small business and personal people's homes taxes because it was the right thing to do. It was the legal thing to do, to great objection from the incumbent and the other board members and many city council people and school district people. It was a hard pill to swallow, but things called for it to be done. The county has since recovered financially, far in excess of what the county suffered during and before the recession, and we're in a good place. The only thing that's holding us back now is this COVID-19 is just about driving us crazy, and I think
it is,
and it's being handled very poorly on a local basis. They have turned, the Board of Supervisors has just totally turned the reins over to the medical officers of the county, who are well-intentioned people, but have no idea about the economics and social consequences of their decisions throughout this county. And it's this attitude seems to be pervasive through many of the Bay Area counties. And we should be showing a little bit more leadership from the Board of Supervisors.
So to summarize that, great introduction. Appreciate that. Before, you were sharing some of your family history in regards to roots here in Pittsburgh, but then also throughout the District 5 area. I know that that's something that a lot of our residents that are viewing this are going to be Pittsburgh residents, but realizing that you're actually running for an area that covers further east than just
Yes.
Pittsburgh. That what are all the cities that are covered in the District 5 area?
District 5 covers all the way from the very north tip of Antioch through Pittsburgh, through West Pittsburgh Bay Point area, through to Martinez, North Concord, Hercules, unincorporated areas, Port Costa, Rodeo, and Pinole.
Okay, so it's definitely it's a wide area, and having experience, you're feeling that is one of the reasons, one of the value items that you're bringing. But what is your why? Why are you running? There's a lot of time and energy that's put into running a race. You have, what you're doing currently at the assessor's office and everything. If you could sum it up into a sentence or two, what is your why?
I've tried working with the incumbent many times, and he gives nothing but lip service. Doesn't do anything. I've asked him on multiple occasions on multiple different agendas and given him the whys and wherefores and reports for the whys and wherefores, and it seems to fall on deaf ears.
Okay.
Doesn't do a thing, just sits back and waits. My experience with him personally, when I was active in Local 1, the local employees union, Federal was the poster child for you had to pay to play. If you wanted something from him, you had to deliver a check to him for his campaign contribution and other forms of remuneration. I think most people find that abhorrent. It's just disgusting. And that's bad government. And I've never done business like that. I don't need anybody else's money. I've done well for myself in my life in real estate and in other investments. And I just want to do what's best for the community, make it a better place to live, make it an easier place to run a business and make some money and serve the people, to be honest with you.
Okay, fair enough. That is, I think you summed up your why. And, you brought up at the end of that comment, talking about the business community, and obviously the Chamber of Commerce is a business organization with one focus, and that is making sure that businesses in Pittsburgh thrive and that they are set up for success and advocate on behalf of businesses. So the next couple of questions will be focusing on the business community. And so starting off first, how do you see, if you were elected, how do you see yourself working to help the businesses within District 5?
Well, right now with the COVID umbrella is far different than the normal
Right.
encouraging business in District 5. There's all these, under the COVID situation, we're subject to the decisions by the governor and then, by the local board of supervisors who seem to just parrot or mimic whatever he says locally. And without consideration of the nature of the businesses, like, making people eat outside or have their nails done outside or have their hair done outside. If you ever took a biology class,
or get a massage outside.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So, when I saw that, I was kind of like, yeah, I'm not doing that.
It's so does not make sense. If you ever took a biology class or I don't understand how, bacteria is transferred or how viruses are transferred, you'd understand that that's actually, you're better off inside with controlled air around you, or maybe a good exhaust fan, rather than being subject to sitting outside like we're on Willow Pass Road in Bay Point with 40-mile-an-hour winds. It doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's one issue. But also, we've had several attempts to say, oh, we're working on the waterfront, the frontage for the Pittsburgh Antioch area. We're going to bring all these businesses in. Unless you get some huge business to come back to Pittsburgh and Antioch, like Crown Cork and Seal, Crown Zellerbach, U.S. Steel, somebody who needs a port or waterfront, you're just going to get a bunch of eclectic small businesses that are not going to, number one, be large employers. Number two, they're not going to be long-term fits, and they're not going to bring the economic base that we used to enjoy in this county. 40 years ago in this county, the heavy industrial complex, and Pittsburgh Unified School District is proof of this, paid 40% of all the tax rolls in Contra Costa County. And today that large industrial complex is paying less than 10%. And that burden has fallen to the individual small business person and the individual homeowner.
Right.
Everything else is stayed about percentage,ly the same. Agriculture, multiple family buildings, commercial buildings, percentage,ly it's about the same. It's this big transition from the heavy industrial complex to the single family resident. If we're going to bring back those big, you've got to find an anchor tenant. I don't see anybody on the city councils or on the board of supervisors making any effort to bring somebody to Pittsburgh where we have these huge opportunities as far as real estate availability. You don't see anybody bringing Apple, uh, anybody out of Silicon Valley, Oracle, uh, Google. They're always looking for expanding their campuses, and they're always looking for places where there's a workforce available. And they're not bringing them here. They're not going to come here because as soon as we get a large large corporation like that wants to come in, everybody piles on.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody piles on with fees and extra fees, and we want this for the schools. Let things happen naturally. Let the business come in and establish itself, get on its economic footing, and then if you want to start talking about additional fees or philanthropy toward the local schools or other nonprofits, then start asking. Don't make them as a condition of development, because all you do is scare them off. And that is exactly why Amazon wasn't even looking in California. Didn't even look.
Mm. So it sounds like you have a large emphasis on the economic development and attracting a larger employer to the area. So if you have a successful campaign, you are elected, how will you do that? What steps would you take?
The first step I would do is I go to my counterpart in Santa Clara County, a gentleman by the name of Larry Stone, and I would tell him what I'm looking for. He is the go-to guy for large corporation anchor employers for the area.
Mm-hmm.
He has so many that they cannot build fast enough in his county. And he tells me that they're looking for other places to go, but nobody's approaching them. They're afraid to come to areas like Pittsburgh because they're worried about, oh yeah, it looks good now, but 5 years from now they'll tax us right out of the area. They'll put some fee on us. City of Richmond's done that for years in real estate in Richmond. Right now, as you well know, here in Contra Costa and Pittsburgh,
mm-hmm.
if you sell your house, you have to pay a transfer tax.
Mm-hmm.
And a transfer tax is about
$1.10 for every thousand.
About $1.10 for every 1,000. In the city of Richmond, El Cerrito, and other areas over there, in some places in Alameda, you pay $6.25 for every $1,000. It's literally 5 times as much of a transfer tax over there as we pay here. And that money goes exclusively to the city. We have to be careful of that. And that's what I fear that some cities will do in the near future.
Okay. So, with these plans that you have, clearly the Board of Supervisors, it's not lone islands. There is a full board, and getting consensus on the board is what it takes to pass anything. How would you rally the other supervisors? What leadership would you use? How do you feel that you'd be able to add value to the board as you work collectively?
Well, I would have a strong voice and an open mind. That's something we don't have now. Right now, we just have a empty suit taking a space in a chair and not really advocating a lot. The one supervisor that seems to get whatever he wants is from Richmond, John Joya, and he's the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Mm-hmm. And he is the strongest personality on that board, and he's always cutting deals and getting what he wants for his district. In fact, if you look percentage,ly, he probably gets more than the rest. I know he gets more than the rest of general fund money. So he's not my most popular person, but he does do his job well and gets what he wants for his district. So at the expense of other districts, including this one.
So how do you, since you brought it up, how do you work with somebody that you're saying they squeaky wheel gets the grease? How do you work with a supervisor that does that so that you can then advocate for District 5?
You become a squeaky wheel.
Okay.
And you negotiate with him and say, it's fine, you want that, but I need this for my district, or do not count on me. And federal's been Joya's second vote and third vote for 20 years. So no one to blame but ourselves for allowing him to do this, for allowing the incumbent to get away with this at the board level. There's so much more that could be bought out here. We had an opportunity to move some more large employers, the state facilities out here, and federal let that go. He just let it go. He didn't follow up on it. He claims to be this, the Democrat, the county and all the Democrats are supporting him. Well, that's nice. We'll get you Democrats in Sacramento to give us some more state offices so we can have some more high employment here in our county. But we're not getting it. We're not getting it.
So the lack of employment in our area, because that's in the city council race, some of the candidates have brought up the jobs housing imbalance and how out here there's way more homes than there are jobs. Do you see that state jobs would help address that, or what is kind of addressing the traffic? Because that is in District 5 a topic, I mean, all throughout the county, but that comes up is, the commute times and the traffic and the road infrastructure.
Pittsburgh's at the epicenter, is the best place to live. It's the best bang for your buck in all of Contra Costa County, and relative to its distance from the job centers in Concord and Walnut Creek, and or getting to a BART station to get to job centers in Oakland or San Francisco. So, I mean, if you want to live in Brentwood or Antioch, you're still going to fight traffic to get to that BART station. And but if you're in Pittsburgh, you're going to drive less than 5 miles, maybe 3 miles or less, to get to a BART station now. So your commute's pretty limited. As far as cost of housing, Antioch used to be a premium to Pittsburgh. Now it's reversed. Pittsburgh's the place to live. Antioch's got serious problems, and it's in the paper every day. And so Pittsburgh's got so much opportunity going for it strictly because of its location. Its location, period.
So you brought up, Antioch, Pittsburgh, and the different cities and what's going well and what's perceived to not be going well in those cities. How do you see the supervisor's role in helping with that? Is it up to the county to fix the problems? Is it the city? How do you see a supervisor's role in addressing the unique needs in each city?
As far as bringing a large employer, in most likelihood, it's going to be in either Pittsburgh or Antioch. So there has to be a bit of a coalition and working relationship between that supervisor and those mayors and city council people. And that's easy enough to do. I have that now as the assessor, and they're always coming to me and wanting things or asking things. And it wouldn't take much to project that back into a leadership position to bring a large major employer out here. Housing's going to take care of itself. The city councils are going to decide what densities are where and how many of them they do. If you feel there's very little lack of housing right now in Pittsburgh and Antioch. They're hard to find,
right?
And they can't build them fast enough. And they're not building enough high-end, nice multiple family buildings. When they do, they have a penchant to be low income and too high a density, and basically they're building tomorrow's ghetto, and which is really sad because we have this huge opportunity right now. The apartments, I got to give credit to ADCino for building those nice condos out on San Marco. We need more of that into the county. Not huge you know, not huge multiple family units that look like they just came out of Chicago, you know, that are all going to be owned and run by nonprofits because they're going to be housing people, usually on public assistance.
So some may push back on that and say we would like to build what you're saying, larger, nicer multifamily properties, but the state has all these mandates that they're taking away local control from the cities and what they can and can't approve in regards to project. How can at this county supervisor level, assuming you have a successful campaign, how can you help with preserving local control?
Well, the state rules for affordable housing elements and low income elements of any project are almost de minimis. They're less than 10% of the units, and what they consider low income in my book may not be that low of income.
Mm-hmm.
They say low income for Walnut Creek, and if you make $60,000 or less, well, that's not bad for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And then the low income, the low income was like 50 to 60,000, and then the just basic low income was up to 80,000. And that's less than 10% of your units. It's better to allow those, get those folks into those units with higher end units than build a huge block of condensed, really, poor people. You're asking for problems. You're asking for law enforcement problems. You're asking for health issue problems. You're asking for fire service problems, and you're also asking for social service problems.
Hmm. So, with that being said, how, again, at the supervisor level, how do you help uh, steer that, or do you not steer it? Would that be part of your, assuming you're elected, kind of those first 100 days, so to speak, what changes you would rally around? Where would you focus your energy during your first part of your term?
My first 100 days, I would sit down with the community development directors of the cities of Antioch, all the cities in that district,
Uh-huh.
and I would also sit down with the county economic director and the community development director. Out the corner of Villa Pass Road and Pacifica Avenue, it's a huge apartment complex going in, and I wonder if the prudency of building there. Number one, number two, that was Shell Chemical property, and I asked to see the soil reports from out there, and they all came back, really clean. I know what was dumped out there. We watched them as children. You put all these relatively poor people in condensed housing. It's something I would discourage in the future. I would really discourage that. That is a pristine site. It has a view of the Sacramento River. They could have put something really nice there with river views and laid out the site much better and made it much more valuable. And again, had a stair step in rents, so you don't have just a solid block of your most stressed and people who are most at risk in one complex. It doesn't make economic sense.
Awesome. Well, let me change things up a little bit. So during COVID right now, we've talked a lot about the business side of things and housing development, but with COVID, there's a lot of concern about, public safety, the safety of, should we open up or should we not? With COVID, there's been, mental health concerns because people's lives have been changed greatly. How would you, because for what we can tell, I mean, things can change tomorrow, but from what we can see, that the election's in November, you'd get put into office if you won in January, that this COVID would still be around. What would kind of be your direction in dealing with COVID?
As far as individual cities go in the county,
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage each city to develop a policy that they thought would make sense.
Okay.
because every city is just like every human being. We're all a little bit different. And some of us are older, some of us are younger, some of us are healthier, some of us are not. Every city needs to make a choice on how they would enforce or administer the safeguards of COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and how they would let businesses do different types of businesses, what employers would be able to do what issues. I think it should be up to the city councils. I really do. We have great input from our health officer, but I think they're they're not thinking of the economic impacts. They're just not considering it. That'd be one of the first things I would do. Number two, I would encourage the county to pull back a little bit on its own, they're allowing people to work from home. It seems to be working, but a lot of the county offices are closed. You can't go to the clerk recorder's office. You can't go to the assessor's office. You can't go to a community development office unless you make an appointment. And and that's if somebody answers the phone. So basically, county business right now is all but shut down. And we're trying to open up. Other departments are trying to open up, but the restrictions they're putting on us are untenable, just untenable. And it's taken months to get screens up for people and get masks to people, and they pass rules and then they don't supply you with the equipment. It's taken forever to get the right equipment.
Okay.
So, um, that's another frustrating part. 25 years ago, I was down in Richmond and I was clearing out a warehouse, and it was full of masks and medical equipment. And I called the county hospital and I called the resource guy for the county and said, "Hey, I got all this medical stuff down here." He goes, "Well, what is it?" I said, "Oh, it's leftovers. It's all in boxes. It's all clean. It's a civil defense warehouse material from 1950. And he says, "Well, it must be old." I said, "Yeah, but it's the same stuff we have on now." And except it didn't have the elastic, it had the actual tie behind it.
Ties.
Yeah. I said, we should give these to cat. He goes, "No." He says, "I've checked, nobody wants them." I said, "What am I supposed to do with them?" He goes, "Take them to the dump."
Oh, wow.
So I took thousands of these masks, hundreds of thousands of these masks, and they're in the bottom of the landfill in Richmond right now. So it's just terrible how these some of the resources we did find were given away to juvenile hall and other places. We actually put them to use. But I'm gonna never forget the masks going, "You know what? Somebody must want these masks."
Yeah, that's interesting. That's
Yeah.
we helped as a chamber. We helped the Meals on Wheels. Somebody made a large donation of masks to the chamber, and we were able to get those to Meals on Wheels out in Walnut Creek so that they could have them for their drivers and everything.
Right.
So there's definitely a need for that PPE at whether it's public or private sectors. There's definitely a need for that. So I want to thank you for your time. I know this interview was brief and there's lots of topics that could be covered, but really the goal with the interviews with the chamber is to allow residents an opportunity to meet the candidate, to get to know them, because right now it's look at the mailer, look at this, go off of what somebody's told me, but at least have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about you, learn your personality, get to see where you stand on a few topics, and want to thank you for that. For those that are watching, you can go to www.pittsburgh.vote and you can watch this video again. You can also watch all our other videos, and then also you can see the schedule of what interviews we have coming forward. At the end of this month, we will have a candidates forum where Mr. Kramer and Supervisor Glover will have an opportunity to participate in a formal candidates forum, and we need questions from you. So at www.pittsburgh.vote, you can go ahead and submit your questions. And because the chamber is a firm believer in transparency, there's a Google Sheet and you can see all the questions submitted. And as soon as you submit your question, you'll see your question pop up there. So again, that's www.pittsburgh.vote. And with that, Mr. Kramer, turn it back to you to give kind of your closing pitch why people should vote for you for District 5 County Supervisor.
Well, thank you, Wolf. I appreciate that, ladies and gentlemen. We've had the same old here in Pittsburgh for almost 20 years. The incumbent has promised not to run 8 years ago, and he promised not to run 4 years ago. So we've kind of established he's not a person of his word. I've been where I am 25 years, and if you've ever had to deal with my office, the county assessor's office, I'm sure you were treated fairly, if not genuinely. The first thing in my office is, the first rule is, you treat everybody as if they were family or your neighbor. And we try and be fair to everybody. I'm very accessible. I have people, I probably take 20 to 30 phone calls a day from taxpayers, and I'm always there for you. That's the type of accessibility we need in the county supervisor's office. If you try and call your county supervisor now, good luck getting a hold of him, let alone getting him to call you back. And I will always be there for you. I am the only county official in Contra Costa County that has my personal phone number in the phone book. Nobody else does that. And it's been there for over 25 years.
Like your
So
personal
my
phone
personal and my phone in my house is in the phone book. So, and for those of you who are really young and don't know what a phone book is, it's a really, anyway, I'm being mean. Thank you very much for your time and watching this. Thank you.
number. Awesome. Again, thank you. And again, go to www.pittsburgh.vote and learn more about our candidates. Have a great day.